Yeah, maybe check YouTube again. It might be on there. Um, it might be another stream. It might be the same one. I'm not sure. Entirely sure. Um,
Okay.
let me double check. See right here. Bear with us, folks. Okay. All right. I wonder. Yeah, I feel like there is another stream out there, so you could probably go to the channel and you will find another link. I don't know if I can put it in the chat. Yeah.
I just went to the YouTube and then there was another stream link that auto came up.
Yeah, I refreshed and it seems to be.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
That's all right. Part 2 now, right? We'll do
we're on part 2, which is the end. So we're done with talking about Shohreh. That is brought that to an end there, and we're not going to show anything else, so we should be okay. Let me just see if people are back here. I don't see as many people.
If you post it in the chat of the other one, I imagine.
Yeah.
People are coming back. I can see everybody trickling in again.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all right. I mean, to be fair, that was the last clip we were
going to
use.
So
if it was going to go out, might as well.
That was the time.
That was it. I'm just going to put it in here. There you have it. I put it in that. So go here. We are still live. Okay. So.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, let's jump to the Elaida part of all of this, right? So we've seen Shohreh. We're not going to talk about Shohreh at all. We're going to just talk about Elaida and no one else. Make sure. Yep, I see people have jumped in here. So. Let me go to you, Rebecca, first. Elaida is a character. A lot of Elaida stands. What's essential Elaida? What makes Elaida tick? What's the most important kind of parts of her that you feel like is important for an adaptation?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that jumps to mind immediately is strength of conviction. So kind of similar to some of the other, things we've been talking about. Like, she believes that she knows what's right. She believes that she has answers that maybe nobody else has. And that she's doing, she believes 100% what she's doing. Other people might disagree, but she doesn't really have that self-doubt.
Oh, let me just, so for people in chat, spoilers. This will contain spoilers, but up to the end of book 6. So a lot of what we talk about, which kind of pertains to season 3 too, is up to book 6. Sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
Yes. So, so strength of conviction, I think is what jumps to mind for me. And that has possibilities for being strength or going wrong. Like that strength of conviction can take a character in different directions. But
one of the things that kind of gets to me the most is you see her in the first book, right? And you see the foretelling scene. Like, that's the kind of the first one. So let me actually bring that up, because that is, a very strong scene that that we see this character show up, and you're like, is this what kind of character is this? This is Out of the World, Chapter 40, the Web Titans. This I foretell, Elaida replied, and swear under the light that I can say no clearer. From this day, Andor marches towards pain and division. The shadow has yet to darken to its blackest, and I cannot see if the light will come after. Where the world has wept one tear, it will weep thousands. This I foretell. A pall of silence clung to the room, broken only by Morghese expelling her breath as if it were her last. Elaida continued to stare into Rand's eyes. She spoke again, barely moving her lips, so softly that he could barely hear her less than an arm length away. This too I foretell. Pain and division come to the whole world, and this man stands at the heart of it. I obey the queen, she whispered, and speak it clearly. Like, right, this is like how we're kind of introduced to foretelling, which is a really cool kind of mechanism of the wheel in the show, and this character. So how important is that to Elaida? Let me go to you, Jenny, for that.
Well, I mean, if I was Elaida, foretelling is not a very common talent to have, right? So if I was Elaida, believing in things like, the pattern and the way the world works, well, why have I been given this skill? So obviously the pattern meant for me to know things that other people don't know, so that I should be in charge. Like, I don't like Elaida, like, as a person, but I understand her reasoning for, like, thinking I'm the person to be in charge. It's me. I should have this authority.
Right.
She's not wrong about, like, one of the things I always want to, like, Swan thinks to herself, if I get caught, I'll be stilled. She got caught. Like, it's Elaida wasn't wrong that Swan was doing something shady. Swan was doing shady stuff. Not cursing. Swan was doing shady stuff, and she got caught by Elaida. That's my thoughts on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think there's a lot of politics that Elaida has to play, and she's kind of put herself in that role, and had the foretelling, or had like at least that had a foretelling earlier on in her past that Andor is important, so she gets to be part of that, and be close to Morghese. But then her arc is more in the White Tower, so being a leader of sorts, Carly, how important, like, as a leader, to Elaida, like, how good of a leader is she? Is she a good leader?
Is she a good leader? I mean, I think she thinks she's a good leader.
Okay,
I don't know. And then you see, like, even just, starting the beginning of book 7, and then you see what other people think of her, right? Cuts to that, I think it's Alviarin in that scene after, that's, she, is sort of walking away from that interaction, like thinking, I'm just sort of telling her what she wants to hear at this point.
Right.
And obviously, as we know, Alviarin has her own motivations and her own masters that she's serving at that point. We very quickly find out, but I mean, I think Elaida is, and I think also that ties into the foretelling thing, though, because as we've seen, you can have a vision and have two people interpret it two totally different ways. Yep. And the thing with Elaida is that she thinks that her interpretation is the right way.
She gets tunnel vision. She gets tunnel vision.
Right.
She thinks her way is, it's her way or the highway, right? So, I think that part's interesting to me, because it's, one of the things I've liked also about reading the books too is that when you're in someone's POV, when you're in their head, you just really understand them better, their motivations, that what drives them, their perspective on the world. And so you get the sort of person Elaida is when you're in her head. You're like, oh, well, she thinks that she's in the right. So
yeah,
even if you know that she's going to be an antagonistic force, even though she's going to present an obstacle for Rand and Egwene and Swan and whoever else, it's like, okay, but I understand why she thinks the way that she does. I think that's something that Robert Jordan does really well, whether it's somebody from the Two Rivers or one of the Forsaken. Like, you always know what they're thinking, not just because they're in your head, but I think he does a really good job of sort of outlining all of that, to where even if you're like, okay, these people aren't great, like, you can still, you put yourself in that position. You're like, okay. So, like, Elaida thinking about how she's going to build, the biggest monument to her greatness in Tar Valon, right?
Right.
Like, by the time you get to that point, you're like, this isn't really surprising to me at all. But like, given how much time we've spent with her already, I get it, right? Like, and I'm sure, like, as I continue, I'm gonna continue to understand her side of things, even if I don't agree with it. So
Right.
I think that's just
Yeah.
been one of the really nice things about reading the books in sort of in tandem with the show, although now I've gone past where the show is going to be. Is just seeing is just feeling really immersed, and also getting the benefit of being immersed in so many different perspectives and
Right.
characters.
I was just
Also,
making. I was.
really
I was
fun.
looking. I was looking back at trying to make sure from a spoiler standpoint about the Fane question. The Pat and Fane.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how that. I don't know, Carly, if you noticed, but Pat and Fane visits Elaida, and at that point, Elaida meets with him, and he before Fane leaves, I don't know if he actually like touches her or something, but like there is an imprint left that has an effect on further making some of those decision making things worse than they maybe were even in the past. So
Yeah,
and a
he
more
thinks, I think
paranoia.
it's book 6, where he says something to that effect. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of things that Elaida could have been the hero of the story, right? Like in terms of like could have been like if you actually look at the where she started, she was like started channeling when she was like 17. She went to the White Tower, was like fastest to become an Aes Sedai before Moraine and Swan show up, obviously. And then her background wasn't really much of. She was like from a minor nobility, so she wasn't really that like a big she didn't come from I try to draw the parallel, like she's like Egwene, like kind of the mayor's daughter and a minor noble, like a similar kind of thing. Got really powerful in the power and rose in the tower pretty fast. There's always the question of what are her motives, and I'm not going to get into too much of that, just because to get too deep into spoilers. But that's the part where what does Elaida really want? And it seems like she knows certain things and wants to achieve that, and the way she does it, by sending an emissary to Rand and all of that. The Black Aja is behind all of that to some extent, right? So she's being, in a way, a puppet of the tower by the time that happens. And I don't know, season 3, Kat, Elaida, like we see her coming in later in the show, right? What are the important things from the perspective of Elaida now, as a player in season 3?
Yeah, like I think it was actually a smart idea to leave the Camelin stuff until this point, because I think it was really important for the show to build the foundation of the White Tower and the politics within the White Tower, and to build a dynamic between Moraine and Swan, because those are essential, and to also show the crumble, like the cracks in this at it in the White Tower that are happening, and sort of the fissures that are happening. And now in comes Elaida on the
Right.
scene. And she's like, we know that she is not the hero necessarily of the story, but she comes in like the hero. Like, she, in her mind, she is the hero. She is the one who is going to save everyone. She is the one
Right.
who knows exactly what she's doing, who knows exactly what needs to be done, and also the way to do it. And I think, Jenny, you said, even with what happens with Swan and everything like that, was she wrong? I mean, I don't like what happened.
I don't like what happened. I want
Yeah.
that to be clear. I don't like
Right.
it, but
Mm-mm.
Swan
Yeah, I mean,
Schultz,
yeah, and did she
yeah.
go about the right way, all of that,
Yeah.
and how it happened? But like, was she coming from the right place? I guess that's
That was an ends justifies the means moment for her, right? Where
right.
like, she firmly believed that Swan had to be taken out. And
Yeah.
so whatever needed to be done,
Yeah.
Right.
do it.
Yeah. That's the thing. And she's like I said before, like she is simultaneously right and wrong in so many instances at the same
So
time.
many instances. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
remarkable. And that's for me, that's what makes her so fascinating to watch. And it's going to be really interesting to see her in season 3. Like I love seeing characters that are not like, oh, this is a really bad person. This is a really good person.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then you have Elaida, who's like, what is her motivation? How is she going? Is she here to help these characters? Is she here to hurt
Yeah.
them? Maybe it's neither.
Right.
Yeah. The thought I just had, it's like when you start something and you're just a little bit off target. She's she's pointing in the right direction, but the further in you go, the further away from what you're aiming for you're gonna hit. And she's on our side. She's just aimed wrong from the beginning. Like when you said, Anas, that she could have been the hero, from the beginning she aimed wrong. Like
Yeah,
her
I mean,
first foretelling of
right.
like,
Right,
oh,
she
the
got it,
royal
yeah.
line of Andor. No,
But-
not that one.
Right.
close.
But like if you were given the same like
I know.
things,
Yeah.
like how
The same thing.
Yeah.
yeah, like I mean
I would have thought exactly what she thought. Yeah.
right.
100%.
Yeah. And you know, again, The Shadow Rising has some great moments, and this is a moment that we think will happen in season 3. So let me read you. This is chapter 47, The Truth of a Viewing. The door crashed open, and she straightened furiously as more than a dozen women strode into her study, led by Elaida. All wore their shawls, most red-fringed, but cool-faced Elviaran, a white, was at Elaida's side, and Jolene Maza, a slender green, and a plump Shimmerin of the yellow came close behind with Danelle, her big blue eyes not dreamy at all. In fact, Swan saw at least one woman from every Aja except the blue. Some looked nervous, but most wore grim determination, and Elaida's dark eyes held stern confidence, even triumph. You must be taken by the dragon, Swan snapped. I will have your hide for this, Elaida. All of your hides. You'll be lucky if the Hall of the Tower doesn't vote to steal all of you. Elaida's tiny smile did not touch her eyes. The hall convened not an hour ago. Enough sitters to meet our laws, and by unanimous vote, as required, you are no longer Amberlin. It is done, and we are here to see it enforced. So yeah, I mean, you know, like strong scenes that she's at the center of, and you know, like where she feels like she's in the right. I'm gonna do it, and I'm not gonna back down, which in most characters, you know, like that strength of determination and confidence is a very like if Matt did that, or Perrin, right? Like if Perrin had that confidence, like things would have been so much like faster. But you know,
Perrin needed somebody behind him.
A little bit.
File, cough,
Yeah.
file.
Yeah.
Kick him into position.
It just occurred to me when you were saying that, Honest, it's like it's two sides of a coin. Like this quality of her is like a strength and a weakness at the same time, because she's so firm committed, which again can be a strength, but like the flip side of that is like she struggles to pivot when like new information comes in.
Yes.
She
This is
can't
it.
change course. Like she just is like so fixed. And that's it's two sides of the same thing, and it's a strength and it's a weakness.
Yeah, it's fascinating to continue to be like, okay, what is Elaida going to do next? What is her motivation? And like, it's a character most people get really strong feelings about, right? And that those are the best written characters, right? The ones that you're like, I can't stand them. So for sure, it's like a you know, it's one that you can't wait to see on the screen in terms of how, you know, that'll show up, because there's a lot of conflict that goes with it. Carly, any other thoughts on Elaida before we kind of move on to kind of our last part of this, where we talk about, you know, the actor and the character together.
I mean, it's funny. I didn't even clock the Egwene comparison until you brought it up earlier, and now that makes it even more interesting because, as of book 6 with Egwene getting raised to Amerlin, like obviously the books are setting up this sort of Elaida versus Egwene, thing that's going to happen. But then you think about like, yeah, this is who Egwene could have also been at some like if different choices were made. The most powerful, I guess the show's like the most powerful chandler we've seen in 1,000 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Going a different way. And I saw somebody in the chat make this point too, like about Elaida. How often has Moiraine made controversial choices that, because like the end sort of justify the means.
I mean, that horse, right, in season 2.
Or, like
Elaida never killed no horse.
Like I got to the scene with Alana, forcibly bonding Rand, and it's like okay, a character that, to a point is likable, but then you get to a scene like that and you're like, well, that's also like really thorny and complicated and like as of the beginning of 7 still really hasn't been addressed. So it's interesting. It's interesting that people have really strong feelings about Elaida because I feel like a lot of these characters make decisions that are not black and white or like cut and dry. Like these books and these characters, there's a lot of really gray, like there's a lot of gray morals that happen, and I think it's just really interesting to sort of discuss, like get into and you can sort of, I think you can at the same time there's a lot of stuff like again you can see the motivation even if the execution of it is not as possible, right? Like Moiraine making decisions where that she's playing chess not checkers, like she's trying to think 10 moves ahead, but in the moment you're like, what is she doing, like what? And then you don't understand until later. So I feel like I don't remember who made the earlier point, but I do feel like Elaida could have just as easily been a hero as an antagonist, but it's just because of certain decisions that she's making in this sequence of events that have positioned her as more of the antagonist. So yeah, it's fascinating to like really dig into. I feel like we could like sit here for hours just talking about character choice and and all of that stuff and how complicated war makes everything.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I just finished reading Dumais Wells too, like that whole sequence. Like, I mean, it's ugly and it's complicated and it almost feels like no choice is the right choice. And it's only going to get harder, and I'm like, oh good, more challenges to come. And I'm only halfway through the books. So.
Yes. I think one of the things that sort of dooms Elaida in the way that people read her is that she enjoys power, which I think people do not like. Like I've had a lot of like when I've sort of talked about Elaida on my channel, people in the comments, no, she's fundamentally bad, and that is their justification, is because she wants to build a big fancy tower. Well, building a big fancy tower is not fundamentally a bad thing. It's gaudy and it's like, to me, it's frivolous. Like of all it's window dressing on her character, but it is unlikable, and so it means that people don't, I think, see the nuance with her actions that they do with other characters who, as you mentioned, also do a lot of morally gray things, Yep.
That's a really good point, Jenny. Like a lot of people are really uncomfortable with women who explicitly want power.
I was going to say, like, it's all of their characters don't, like our main characters don't generally seek out power. Like Egwene, if Egwene had actually campaigned to become Amerlin, oh my God. Like I can't imagine what the phantom reaction to that, her being forced into that position. Like she's already anyway, we're not talking about Egwene.
Yes.
But to your point, Jenny, like and I'm at this point in the books too, where even Rand is sort of in his belief that no one has to die, or that he's not going to unnecessarily kill people. And it's like, but I don't think that's going to stay an option for you, bro. Like you, But to your point, he doesn't want. It's not like he's out here, reveling in
Yeah.
people dying or like
Yeah.
taking pleasure. So that does feel a little bit like a delineation,
Hmm.
um, especially with like our main five. But yeah, it's just, but also that doesn't mean that, there's not going to be tough choices. It's just interesting. It's
Uh,
the mindset of how they approach the tough choices, I think is
Yeah.
where we see the divergence between, these guys are, they're going to be sort of the more, I don't know, antagonistic, villainous,
Right.
mhm.
whatever, because they clearly they don't feel as conflicted, I think,
Yeah.
about a
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Elaida
Uh,
has the stomach for a lot of
yeah.
really
Yeah.
she has the stomach for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the main characters do not have the stomach for those kinds of choices.
No.
Um, and the thing is, you kind of need people. Now, am I saying that I agree with the choices that Elaida
Right.
has made?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
No.
However, in a situation where it's, the end of the world, you need people who are willing to make those really difficult choices and who have the stomach for that.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Elaida, she decided a long time ago that, okay, this is what needs to happen in order for everything to eventually be okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And
I
Yeah.
that's
mean,
that.
Maureen,
Yeah.
I will kill you before
Hmm.
that happens.
Hmm.
The number of times she's like, I will do that really horrible thing, and you're like, oh yeah, sure, Moraine, totally, that's fine.
Yep.
With Elida, again, there are reasons, or there are many reasons, but this was funny on Blue Sky. What series asked, how would you badly explain Elida? And I like the first one. Elida tries to solve most of her problems with boxes of various sizes, and that is just like the perfect
The
the,
reaction
per-
photo.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
reaction.
To me was
Someone
Rebecca, that
needs,
was a
I
good
was gonna
one.
say, is someone gonna ask during, we should ask Yosha during a press opportunity. We're
Yeah.
like, thoughts on boxes. Just,
Yes.
Oh no,
Yes.
he
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
he did that on the premiere. Someone, I think it was Dragonmount, Jason Denzel asked like what are you looking forward to or something, and he was like, the box. Like he
Yeah.
straight
Oh
out
my
said
God.
it was
so
like
he's a masochist. Good to
as an actor,
know.
though,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
He's an
yeah,
actor.
Yeah.
He wants
yeah.
I
to
was
Yeah.
get
gonna
to the
say yes.
material.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
how can I act this?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think Elida's strong character. Can't again, someone who in the room probably demands attention. So let's
Yeah.
let's switch to our let's bring it together. All right. We saw Shohreh. It wasn't on the stream. If you're watching the stream later, the other stream first. I actually looked at it. It's nothing. It just like ended. They ended it. Nothing else happened. It's still there. You can watch it. There's
Okay.
nothing wrong with it. It's just
Oh,
you
okay.
have to. It's just in two pieces. So, which is
Okay.
you'll be like, oh, I
Okay,
only
they
want to
didn't,
know about
like, nuke
Shohreh.
it.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So funny.
They were just like, no more, no more. That's enough. I think that's what happened. But yeah, so we talked about Shohreh. We looked at her work, her range. And then we talked about Elaida, the character. So bringing it together, Shohreh as Elaida. Rebecca, let me start with you. Like, what are the things that you think Shohreh will bring to that character, and what you can't wait for?
Yeah. Well, it was really perfect, that clip you had of Shohreh herself talking about her role in 24, because I think that's actually a really crucial thing that she'll bring to Elaida. Because she talked about how, like, when you're playing a role, you have to be able to justify your choices to yourself. Like, again,
Mm-hmm.
so that's exactly kind of what we're talking about, of like, she's going to come into this, like, understanding that Elaida fully believes that everything she's doing is right. And she can find that motivation, find that reasoning in herself. And I think that's going to be really, like, powerful and strong for
Mm-hmm.
this role, to really bring out that if she believes it, right? She fully believes and embodies that
Right.
what she's doing is right. Like, we will believe that, again, because it, like, the presence that she has as an actress, and how we're drawn to her when she's on screen, it's gonna be very convincing. And then at the same time, I also like, because I'm most familiar with her on The Expanse, and I adore her on that show. And it's hard for me to imagine that there isn't a little extra competence in Elaida as
Mm-hmm.
played by Shohreh. Like just emphasizing Elaida being more capable in some ways, and that will also like draw us to her a bit more, right? So she had
Yeah.
like if she's bringing out like that full belief in her choices, and we got the little bit more competence at play, like I think she's going to be quite riveting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the whole thing where she wants to believe the character's choices and show that, I think is really important for a character like Elaida, because it's someone, like we talked about, is very determined in the choices that they make and stick with. And we talked about the coup, we talked about that foretelling, right? So there's no way they don't do the foretelling, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
I haven't
Oh, yeah.
I haven't done a poll in a little while.
Elaida will
Um,
definitely have some telling for sure.
that,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
is it going to be the?
100%.
Is it going to be the? And this man stands at the heart of. I'm trying. That was like the worst Shohreh, but like she has to, right? Like, will
Her voice
Elaida?
doing a foretelling.
Oh,
Yeah. Will
Sure, we'll get a
Elaida?
foretelling of some kind. Yeah.
Okay. Will Elaida do the Rand foretelling? Well, Shohreh. I'm going to say Shohreh now. No. Will Shohreh Elaida? Will
Shorelida? Shorelida?
Shoreline.
Shorelida.
Oh, it's like show in like a double.
Show.
It's like
Oh,
her name
yeah.
and
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Will Shohreh Elaida um, uh, do the Rand foretelling in season 3? Yes or no? And yeah, I mean, that's like a strong, really strong, kind of on screen. And then the coup too, right? Like we have reasons to believe, given that it's the Shadow Rising and that's what it follows, that's going to happen sometime. Char is going to be like all over those scenes with
Yeah.
maybe Olivia Williams in the room, maybe Sophie Conato in the room. Like that's going to be strong stuff, right? That
Yeah.
there's no doubt how Elaida and Shohreh will be able to pull that off. I'm trying to think. Is there other things that Shohreh and Elaida that bring to kind of come to mind? I don't think there's a from the House of Sand and Fog perspective, she doesn't really have that aspect to this role, even though we saw that she
Not,
could do it.
yeah, not as much. However, I'm still glad I watched it because it shows her range that
Mhm.
I had not, like, a side of her acting that I hadn't seen in anything else. And I know, Carly, you haven't finished the series, so I'm going to be very careful here. But Elaida has an arc. Like she is not the same at the end as she is at the beginning, and that is all I will say. And so seeing that range was good. And I'm like, I've said this on my channel as well. I'm really glad that we were all wrong about who they were going to cast her as because of that, because Cat Swain doesn't have as much of that. So
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
What about that scene in House of Sand and Fog where she's like yelling at her husband in Farsi? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. There's a bit there, like,
Yeah,
where,
for sure.
yeah, she's vulnerable, but like underneath that, like
The anger and like the
Yeah.
the rage in terms of standing up for yourself, for sure. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really really strong
Oh
there.
yeah, she's vulnerable, but there's a strength to her. Like,
Oh,
this
there's
is a woman who
totally-
is fighting this.
And she knows certain things and she will do them. There's that one scene where she's helping the character. She's like, no, like let me do it. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, for sure. It's no. We've seen. I had it here. Let me pull it up. we have one still of Elaida and Shohreh, right? Carly,
Yes.
in terms of like, do you think we're going to get more of leading up? Are we going to see more of Shohreh and Elaida, or is this what we've seen is what we've seen, and the trailer might not have more in terms of how much Elaida is there going to be in season 3? I guess is the other question. Um, and how much of a role is she going to play going forward? Is she going to be like a main character?
I mean, I was thinking about this too, Rebecca, when you were talking about like what she brings to a role. And I feel like from the perspective of that still that we got, which is very clearly her and Morghese in the White Tower, right? I think at the very least, it's going to be this season sort of sowing the beginning seeds for the coup. My thing too was thinking about Shohreh as Elaida. We have to buy into the fact that so many of these other Aes Sedai
Yes.
would agree to follow her over Swan.
Yeah.
And I feel like Shohreh is somebody that can bring. We've been talking this whole stream and the other half of the stream about the presence that she has and how she just pulls you in. And I feel like anybody playing Elaida needs to have that quality, because you need to believe that so many Aes Sedai would vote in her favor, or that she would be able to convince so many to go against Swan. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to have somebody that can face off with Sophie Okonedo,
Yeah.
basically be
for
like,
sure.
you're out of here, right? So I
Yeah.
think in that sense alone, like I completely believe that she's going to be able to pull this off, because like you look at her and you're like, I'd follow her, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
and then maybe have doubts later and second guess things later when things aren't exactly lining up. But I think you need
Yeah.
to look at both sides of what's likely going to be the coup and be like, oh yeah, like she could come in and
And
switch
take
things up and
charge.
and take charge and like take control. And like I would buy into that. And I think
Yeah.
you have to believe that as a viewer too. So that was something I was thinking about as you were talking about, and as we've been talking about what she brings, just the screen presence alone, and the authority. Like, even just watching that scene from Punisher is like, you don't want to stop watching her. But I feel
Right.
like, also loving Sophie's performance as Swan, like, who is going to be able to match that? You need somebody that's kind of on that level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was something I was thinking about. Like, I feel like season 3, I could see the coup really picking up like mid-season towards the back half. Like, I feel like with everything that's going to be going on with Tanchiko and the Waste, this is all going to be sort of happening, juggling, plots at around the same time, because everybody's going to be, as we've seen, like kind of split up anyway.
Yeah.
Because it looks like, based on the pictures, like Matt's going to be with Elaine
Yeah.
and Nynaeve and
Right.
Min, and then like Rand and I think Moiraine and Lan and Egwene and who else is, based on the pictures, is going to be going to the Waste. So it's like,
Right.
what's going to be going on back at Tarvalon, right? Like, Swan is probably hanging out there, and then like stuff's going to go down. So
Going
yeah,
down.
I'll be curious as to like how they spool that thread, but it's definitely going to be like, and now we jump to this part of the
Right.
world, and then we jump to this part. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's going to be a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
shifting.
Yeah, the one thing you
Yeah.
mentioned, like in terms of like, I would follow that person. I mean, I would follow Elaida so much more. Like, you don't know this person, and you've seen Swan do some kind of questionable-ish things in terms of like loyalty, right? Like, just like as a, I'm like, don't do that to Rand. Like, I like Rand. Like, like just from that perspective. And it's like, oh, this person comes in, and like, you can almost make the argument that the actor like may give more credence to the character than maybe I think I saw someone talk about, like how do we actually get that part of Elaida where you're like, I need to not trust her, or I don't know what her motivations are in that, and how do they actually show that? And I'm sure there's ways to do that, but I mean, sure, most of us were like, yeah, sure, I'll follow her.
Yeah. Well, looking at that picture was interesting because you've got Morghese in like all of that. And then Shohreh is very restrained beside her. And yet she pulls the focus, in my opinion.
Yes, exactly.
It's amazing.
You can't not look at her.
It's also interesting to me that they're on equal
right,
ground, like level. They're standing level with each other when you would think that she's been she's been the advisor to the royal family at this point, probably for however many years. It looks like maybe she's a little bit behind, but I feel like, I don't know, it's hard to say. Like, I think that might also just be that the
Good point. Yes,
makes her look like she's
they're
closer.
pretty even. I think they're pretty even.
It's interesting, and I don't know if that's like a White Tower politics thing, or if that's sort of like a subtle way to let us know that Elaida is pulling more strings than
like in the tower. Quite frankly, Morghese should be behind. Like
it's that message of like Aes Sedai are of equal importance or power, at least to
Right.
create.
But also it might be a little bit of a subtle way to say that Elaida has more power than
visually it can
essentially the
visually,
figurehead of Andor.
Honestly, you were saying like, will we believe like the part of like, should we trust Elaida, that kind of thing, like that aspect of it. But like, we've seen Shohreh play these characters who are willing to do like tough, even maybe objectively wrong things. In the case of 24, but so I believe like that she will bring that as well, right? The person that you believe will not hold back, even if that means doing harm, doing wrong things.
I mean, she's going to do some
playing like as Christian on The Expanse. That's a character who, like, you're so caught up, you're so drawn into what, her whole thing and what she's doing as an actor, that sometimes you forget that she's done some shady things as well. And then other characters are reacting to the things that she says or does and whatnot. And sometimes they'd be like, hey, don't talk to Christian. Like, wait a second. Actually, and so I think she's very good at playing someone who is both trustworthy and not. I think she just she's able to embody both of those things at the same time. And I think especially for Elaida at this stage of where we're going to see her as she's being introduced, it's really important to have both of those things present. Especially the trustworthy part of it, because and also the competent part, because everyone has their own opinions on Elaida, and she's wrong in a lot of ways, but she is very strong in the power. She like rose up very quickly in the White Tower, everything like that, so she knows what she's doing. She's competent enough to be the right hand to the Queen of Andor.
I was going to say that, like, she obviously has some competence. Otherwise, Morghese would have kicked her to the curb. Like
100%.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's so many ways they can play this. Right. There's the Lord Gabriel factor that's there, because that's different. Right. In the books, Lord Gabriel became a character, or became a focus after Elaida was gone, I think, or like it was like not, there was not that overlap, I think. So the fact that you're like,
how the void of her not having
so it'll be like interesting. Okay, so Elaida's been there all this time with Morghese and Lord Gabriel. So what's kind of going on here? Who's the real advisor? That kind of thing. So it'll be interesting how they actually play all of that. But I think Shohreh will definitely do some questionable things, or things that make us be like, oh, okay, because I think they have to they have to introduce her as a strong character. And I think, hopefully there's scenes with Elaine. There's scenes with, there's that one scene of I think with Min that there's an audition script. So a lot of cool things to look forward to. And I mean, will there be an Elaida Moraine kind of scene? Okay, that's the
Well,
yeah.
We know that Rafe, like that, he envisioned that it was Moraine, that it was Elaida that beat Moraine. Like he said that in an interview. So I could see maybe some flashbacks, or because I'm not sure how they could be in like with Morgaze. Moraine being in the waste. I don't know, but yeah.
Huh. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, no, that would be a really cool way to show it in as a flashback. But I think, because
Swan could be there too. That could, be like showing the depth of that relationship. How
that actually would be really interesting. Yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, you could give me the Leandra and Moraine backstory that I
give that in there.
Wait, it's all of the sapphic shenanigans.
What's the name of the dog? Is it
Jenny, the dog.
Jenny, okay, all right. I don't want to be like I don't want to be like Jenny is the dog, right?
Yes. Canonically, show canon, she slept with Jenny every night while she was anonymous, and that's canon. So deal with that as you will.
That's good. Let me just end this poll here. Will Shohreh Elaida do the Rand foretelling? About 84%. 15% said no, which I'm trying to think. They're probably saying no. She'll do another foretelling. Let me ask: will Elaida and Moraine have a scene together in season 3? Okay, so yes, in the current timeline. Yes, in a flashback. And no, I don't think. Is there any other choice? I think that's probably it. You could always put vision, dream into it, and I'm not going down that route. So, so let's see what people say. All right, I think we're kind of getting towards the end of our show. Thank you all, the 4 of you. I mean, this takes a lot of effort, so thank you for doing the research, for not that I don't think Shohreh is a hard person to watch, but like it's always hard to watch things with a different mindset so yeah, thank you for doing all that. And we do have a Becoming Moghedian show planned, and we might be changing some things. It's actually currently scheduled for next Wednesday. I'm not sure if we're changing things just because we had Tenchiko today, and there's an Essential Tenchiko show, which was supposed to be this Sunday, but last Sunday's show is this Sunday. So we're like, when do we do the Tenchiko show? It would have made sense to do it today. Like, we just, like, there's so many things. So we want to do Tenchiko next week is what I'm thinking now. But we might change that depending on, or we might do a show on a random day about Tenchiko or Moghedian or both. So watch us on socials and like the channel, put on that notification so you know when we're live. Those are the 2 main ones. We're like, hey, we have to do Elaida, we have to do Moghedian, and Laia Costa. Let me start our giveaway for the night. The call lines are open. I didn't put up the number because these shows go long. Maybe we could take one call. I'll put it out there. If there's someone who really wants to call in and tell us about a Shohreh role that they saw and an Elaida kind of tie-in from that, you're welcome to call. Let me. What do I do?
Yeah, we didn't talk about any of her voice acting, actually.
Yeah, no, I didn't get into it. There is like, I think she's in like an arc.
Play all of Mass Effect and.
Isn't she like Assassin's Creed now?
Assassin's Creed, yes.
Yeah. She's done some like Arcane.
That's right.
Isn't there like a Netflix movie animation or something that recently came out?
Yes.
She was like a dragon or something.
dragon something.
Damsel.
Oh yeah.
Damsel.
Oh, I didn't know
Okay,
that.
there you go.
He
Yeah.
was a dragon in
Okay.
Damsel, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought I saw Jen Sedai, Joss 21 talk about the Lion Guard. I think she's in the Lion Guard. And
That's right.
and I think Jen wrote some of that for her, or wrote for the show, and yes. She hinted something to that effect. Yes.
I'm going to be talking. She should. Okay.
Yeah. Dana Lou's saying she voices a dragon in Damsel. Yeah, I haven't seen that. But yeah, she's doing a lot of really cool stuff there. I mean, that voice, right? It's definitely made
always
for,
iconic.
not for that too, for sure. I wonder if she sings. I don't know. I don't think she sings, but I could see her read poetry really well,
Yeah.
she could
She
do
sings
that.
to herself in House of Sand and Fog. Like there's a couple of times she was
Oh
singing
yes,
herself.
yes, she does.
okay.
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like definitely humming that she does in that for sure. That's funny. You're like, yeah, she sings. All right, I think that's most of what I had. The raffles going in the chat. Parting thoughts, Elaida. Anything else that you want to talk about before we say goodnight?
She is probably my favorite antagonist from the books, just because I find her she's an antagonist by not intending to be. Like she really thinks she's on the right side. And technically, if you're drawing a line between light and dark, she is. She's just, I don't know. I find she's just wrong about so many things. And
Yes.
I find her so interesting.
Yeah.
And the spoilers. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
That is,
I know it's
Yeah.
so hard. It's so
Yeah.
hard.
It's
Yeah.
an important theme though, right? Because like the idea that like you can have good intentions, you can be aiming for good and do harm. And I think that's a really important part of the theme.
Right. Yeah. No, totally. There's like, you're always wondering what she's going to do next, why she's going to do it, and what are her motivations. And it's like, well, maybe you're going to be, at a point where, she could surprise you in the show. We're coming from a place that we might not be ready for. Like, could she be meeting with Lanfear? Like those are the things I think of. Like, I would want to put her in a room with Lanfear. That would be awesome, for sure.
Can you imagine a scene with like,
Oh my God.
with Elaida, Moraine, Swan, Leandrin, I would die. I would just die.
You're just
I
describing
think
my whole
it would be too
sapphic
much.
graphic that I made.
Yes, that was a great
Exactly.
sapphic graphic, by the way.
Excellent.
I need to update
Excellent.
it.
It's great. You're going to be updating it, I think.
I'm gonna
a
just
lot
update it
this
for every
season.
season, I think.
Yes,
But
yes.
even for season 3, I need to update it now that we have Aveline.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes, Aveline is definitely.
Oh my gosh, Aveline.
Exactly.
They gave us that, and then Ayula Smart was like, some emojis.
Yes.
Some emojis. Let's. I'm trying to think. I can't put your stuff on anymore just because we changed the thing. So I see all of your comments in chat. That's the shredding we need. Yes, all of them in a room. That's the shredding we need.
Yes.
All right, I'm going
Shred
to
me to pieces.
Seriously. Oh my God. I'm
let's-
just imagining the power that will be in any scene with Sophie Okonedo and Shohreh Aghdashloo.
Yes.
Like we haven't seen, like, Sophie Okonedo does rage so well. It is so compelling to watch her, and and we've seen Shohreh Aghdashloo, like the two of them in a scene together where they're on opposite sides, but both completely convinced that
And then
they're
they kiss?
acting
No,
in the
I'm
right
joking.
way. And then they kiss. Why not? Yes.
Totally kidding.
I mean, I'm down for it.
I would be
What you
too.
get, Honest, for inviting so many sapphics on your
Hey,
show.
it's
Yes.
things happen sometime, right? I'm gonna pick a winner here. Sky Squirrel, you have won Dusty Yule mug.
Congratulations.
I'm pretty sure you've won before, so congratulations again. Get in touch with us, and we'll get that to you. Both of us are running behind, and I'm definitely not running as behind as Innkeeper Hatch. Obviously, that doesn't happen. But I'm definitely at
possible.
least a couple of months behind. Just with since I think the trailer came out, it's been like we're like, okay, let's start doing a little bit more shows, and like now we're like 4 shows a week. It's like crazy. Or like it's
Yeah.
and I mean they're giving us stuff, so I'm like, there's no complaining here. This is a lot of
Yeah.
fun. It's a lot of fun. Thank you again, the 4 of you joining us. We do have like I said, I'm trying to double check if I have the right one on here. Nope, it's not this one. This is coming maybe this weekend, maybe next Wednesday. The one that is coming this weekend is this Wheel of Time fan theory, Voices in Rand's Head. This is going to be full spoilers, full book spoiler show. Innkeeper Hatch going to his Theoryland origins, having some Theorylanders on. If you know Therese, Drew McCaffrey, and Chris Cottenham, people who love theorizing and are going to bring back some of the theories from when the books were coming out and what the voices in Rand's head mean. Tune into that. But there is going to be Essential Tenchiko definitely in the next week. And then the La Costa, the Becoming Maggedian, that's going to be... Oh, it's coming to you soon. I'll just put it that way for now.
Yeah.
Thanks all for being here. And we'll be back this Sunday with some of those shows. As we say around here, good night from the Dusty Wheel, and smash the block.
Welcome to the Dusty.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. You went right to kill it. Look at you, you're all ready. You're just done. I mean, this is like this is one
really
of the
well.
biggest scenes.
And now I'm like, great, my turn.
And if you don't like that, and you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the 2 rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't. So,
Just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm not wearing one.
I see Lukomi as something along the lines of a Shida Haran analog. For
it does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Meme Off Challenge. Yay!
Like baby face mounted on like a huge body. So like all
This
of
is
a
not
sudden,
just
it's like,
a traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi
And
elements.
just a moment
for those that are
ago,
kind of interested.
Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guest in here with me, and
Probably I would say put in 70-80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder and be like, no.
Elaida? Oh, they could be smooching. Okay. Anyway.
All right. Okay. No, I could hear this all night. We were just talking about,
Some more sapphic talk about Elaida. Just my face the whole time that like Christian Avasarala is on screen is like this.
I know.
It's
a problem.
Yeah,
it's a
Right.
problem.
We had to do a small Elaida encore. Oh, someone told me I forgot the poll. I'm going to end that too. Elaida and Moraine, right? We had to finish that. People think yes. A good 30% are saying no, but 40% say yes in a flashback, or in the current timeline, 29%. So there you go. So you can go back to Elaida
I'm eating-
smooching.
I'm literally eating
Elaida,
popcorn
Elaida,
now.
Elaida smooching. All right, Smash Black.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Reel. You went right to kill it. Look at you, you're all ready. You're just done. I mean, this is like this is one
really
of the
well.
biggest scenes.
And now I'm like, great, my turn.
And if you don't like that, you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the two rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't. So
Just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm
Sad.
not wearing one.
I see Nakomi as something along the lines of a Shida Haran analog.
It does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Meme Off Challenge. Yay!
Pair of like baby face mounted on like a huge body. So like all
this
of
is
a
not
sudden,
just
it's
a
like, wow.
traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi
And
elements.
just a
for
moment
those that are
ago,
kind of interested.
Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guest in here with me, and
Probably, I would say, put in 70-80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder and be like, no,